Monday sessions are all about seeing what's happening in the markets and also maybe looking for some opportunities. Just make sure I'm recording as well. Now, the last 24, 48 hours, in fact, this entire weekend since the Fed came out and had some kind of announcement, but it really wasn't an announcement. There was massive overreaction in the markets and then we had a moderation back. It just again proves that leaning into the volatility going into the weekend, making any major decisions based on that is a fool's errand. What we tend to see, like we saw on Friday, is a major move happens, and then when the markets close, traditional markets close, we tend to moderate back to the original position on Monday. So in this case, we had a massive rise up in the market, apart from Ethereum sort of stayed up there, which was great. But broadly, Bitcoin and all the others came back down to where we were. In fact, we went lower on Bitcoin than when we started before the pump. So a lot of derivatives, a lot of shenanigans, a very low signal, really, really hard to trade. Because if you get into these positions, you're not maybe wide with your buy, like really wide with your buys, you might get into a position, see that you're really up and think, okay, this is great. I can just sort of sit in this, keep my stop loss at break even. You'll probably find out on Monday that your stop loss was taken, full round trip sort of stuff. And the range bound action, it's people getting chopped the hell up, up. So this Fed pump, everyone went max long, rode it up, was probably going long up here too. Their stop losses have all been taken out. So that was a 5% move in Bitcoin. That's not small. That was really big. So the rise in altcoins, I was watching, it was like 10 to 15% in some cases. So big move, and then just ground out. All stop losses are gradually taken, then massive capitulation. I mean, look at this big pump, manipulated pump, probably with algorithms and derivatives and whatnot. And there's be a lot of people that have their stop losses just under these candles. What did it do? Chopped everyone out of position and then finally killed everyone underneath. So this entire region was just, pardon the language, just everyone's getting shot the hell up and you're just being told you shouldn't trade and just move back to, good old investing. So what is happening here though, I think, is that time-based capitulation, but we're also building that floor, that support. And it wouldn't surprise me to think if we've bottomed here with this double kind of movement and even, just this slow grind into support. You kind of want to see it respond like this. You want to see, try it again and again and again and just full on rejection every time. And it doesn't feel like it is the low because you thought maybe, okay, this was the low, we're pumped, great, we're out of it. And then slow going, oh no. And then big and going, oh, I'm going to sell everything. I need to get out. It plays with your emotions and fucks with your state. So you just got to be just dialed in terms of the bigger picture, which is so important. We step back to that weekly or daily time frame and just see where everything sits and not get too worried about things. Because if I'm looking at this, I just think this is pretty flat. Again, the only concern I'd have is maybe that close beneath the 10 weekly EMA. I'm not getting dislodged out of position here though. I think I'm fairly comfortable to just wait and see how this price action develops. Because in my view, I think we're still ranging. We're in a macro uptrend, high highs, high lows. I need to see something pretty significant, maybe a break of that 106 level before I get, concerned at all. With most of the ETFs, including Solana, being approved, on or before October, with the Solana staking ETFs coming straight away. So once Ethereum gets it over the line here, it's straight through it. So there is some data again, which Dean showed, that there is a lot of ETH being staked into validators at the moment. So there is a strong movement in that direction. You have to lean into it, and it's as clear as day for me that Ethereum, then Solana, Ethereum, then Solana, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, LTC, HBAR, SUI, all those others in the ETF baskets, they're going to begin to get a bid as the top end of town soaks in that liquidity like a sponge. So I'm watching Solana here, and the fact that it's showing some strength, and I think it is trying to bottom against ETH here, it's a big watch. And I'd be looking for, potential rotational plays. It's one of the big opportunities that I'm seeing at the moment. But this was a really confident, James Safart talking about how they're coming. It's very, very soon. And the staking narrative is really taking off, especially with institutions. And we'll make no mistake, people want that. They want to have some kind of yield if they're buying an investment. They want some kind of income or return. It's one of the biggest criticisms around Bitcoin in traditional markets. Why would I buy this if it doesn't have any income? Well, you can get a yield from Ethereum if it's being staked and validated. So there is a momentum movement here. And I think the same thing's going to happen with Solana fairly soon. Now, some opportunities, guys. I know you are just chomping at the bit for opportunities. I look at Ethereum's chart and I can't believe how sexy this looks. This is just a phenomenal chart. It has just been playing with people's emotions and portfolios for multiple years now. This was a broadening, descending kind of gramophone wedge type situation. And there's some of the worst patterns to play out if you're on the wrong side of it, because it just goes lower and lower and lower, and you feel, okay, well, this is great. Now it's going to completely parabolic move one way, but really it's building the energy for the release. And that's where I think ETH is going. It's coming into those areas above, towards that $10,000 area. So we're right on the precipice here of 5,000. And once we're above 5,000, who knows where this goes. I'd be surprised if it gets above, I think 20,000, but yeah, I think realistic targets, especially on the Fibonacci's, are probably around that 10,000 and an overextension maybe into the 15 to 20. But that's going to play out over a longer period of time. But we do have to remember, if we are in the 4-year cycle, the next 3 to 4 months should be insane. So once we're through this choppy period through August, September, the period through that will move very, very quickly and could be very, very insane, especially if we are topping out. We could still see that self-fulfilling prophecy of a really amazing move in the next 3 or 4 months. It looks like we top out, we have a massive correction drawdown, everyone thinks we're going into a bear market, and then we have the secondary movement in 2026 on the back of the business cycle, which I'm personally leaning towards. I think we do have the self-fulfilling prophecy at the back end of the year. I'm going to treat it like a top, and then if I'm seeing bottoming indicators, we're maybe coming down to 73,000 or the true mean, back to 100,000. I think I'm getting interested again, and I'm going to play it as if this is just a secular correction in a bull market. So that's my view. Yeah, I think exciting times are ahead, but just remember, you make the most money in this market unfortunately, over a really short time span.